Casey. Colleen Casey, self-dubbed Poet Laureate of the Bus, is, among other things, trained as an art historian. More of a community arts creature, she believes wholeheartedly in the power of art and creativity to transform communities and to help facilitate positive change over time. She is delighted that her poem is included in the 2015 St. Paul Almanac and thrilled to be a part of a literary reading. In such a gorgeous art gallery. Please welcome Colleen.
Hello everyone, can you hear me? Okay, so now you know I am Poet Laureate of the Bus. So I'll start out with a short poem about that. Some may think I'm a bus eccentric, scribbling away nonsense, intense in focus, almost missed my step. Or a student composing furiously to meet a deadline for some important class. Maybe a sleepy-faced, weepy-eyed lover, passionately penning a Dear John letter, hell-bent on choosing just the right words. Perhaps I pass under the radar, another workaday stiff, going from where I am to where I need to be, then going back. One of millions killing time on a long commute, squeezing a couple of moments to jot down a shopping list, a list of things to do. What they don't know is I am Poet Laureate of the Bus. I never take myself too seriously. I hope you don't take me too seriously either. So I do have a poem in this year's St. Paul Almanac, and I'm thrilled. Some of you know that I actually do write on the bus and the bus stop. I gave up my car about 7 years ago, and it's been fun. So riding the 74 bus from Highland across to the light rail station or back and forth, I often went through Highland Park, and so this poem comes to me from all those bus rides. I call it Ghost of Highland Park, Fall 2013, sorry. Colossus born of Ford, what are you now? The grand dismantling hand scatters your innards in random cluttering piles across the black tar lot. Hides your stolid face behind a plastic-wrapped chain-link security fence. I catch a glimpse of jumbled, twisted beams, heaped amid mounds of earth and brick. Shadows splay over your emptied shell, deepening the colors of your remains. Pride of a neighborhood, pride of a nation, your production line pumped prosperity, drove our dreams, fueled our families, fed fantasies, until someone somewhere dismantled a fortress, shut you down. Did anybody see it when it was, the Ford plant was shuttered? And it was sad. How many of you know people who made good livings out at the Ford plant? I know, I think everybody did. Kind of a shock to see it now. It's like totally gone. It's like it was never there. So it's interesting how history gets erased. So the next piece I'm going to read is actually about something else that haunts me. And some of you who know me well know that I had one sibling, an older sister, and her name is Kathleen, and she struggled with an eating disorder. And I have I always say life has jagged edges, because 5 to 6% of people who have eating disorders die from them, and my sister was one of the small percentage that does. So that did die of an eating disorder. I had a writing mentor who said, this is important, you need to write about it, but it's too close to home, and I didn't think I would. But recently, this little piece came to me, and the idea came to write some short essays that might fit together. So this one, I call Naming. My older sister and I were born to parents who chose our names from songs. You see, my mother believed, and would often assert in a voice drenched with certainty, there's a song for everything. Since she so often made connection between songs she knew and moments in our lives, from an early age, knowing our names came from songs made perfect sense. to me and my sister. My father, not so musically oriented himself, carried the family name Casey, a version of an ancient Irish clan name that crossed the Atlantic and somehow made it to Minnesota. My mother, who acquired this surname through marriage, had just enough Irish in her bloodline to ensure that she had a twinkle in her eye. She and my father, who was half Irish American, half Polish American, decided to give their firstborn daughter, and later me, their last-born child, Irish first names to match our ancient Irish last name. As they always told this story, they chose Kathleen's name from an old tune, popular among Irish American immigrants during the early part of the 1900s. I'll take you home again, Kathleen. As small children during the 60s and 70s, and not knowing that song, our parents always explained to us that in the song, an Irish immigrant husband is singing to his dying Irish immigrant bride, Kathleen, that he'll take her back to Ireland, their home, something she had long longed for. Now, though, he really couldn't because she was dying, but she didn't know she was dying. So as she's dying, he says to her, "I'll take you home again, Kathleen." As an adult, thinking back on my parents' choice in how they named their firstborn child, I think that's rather an odd way to pick a name for a child, and wonder if naming Kathleen based on that song cast a pall somehow over her later life. The way they always told the story about my name goes as follows. They had some other likely names chosen for me, but once I was born and they had a chance to meet me, a line from another old Irish tune popular in the same time came to mind. For there's not a Colleen sweeter where the river Shannon flows. And because I was so sweet, they named me Colleen. Colleen, the Irish Gaelic word for girl, used as a first name only among Irish immigrant peoples in places other than Ireland. And that's where I'll stop it, because I think everything begins with naming, and then I think I'll work on essays moving forward about some of the other pieces. But thanks for listening. That has never been heard. So it took me a while to claim my power as a poet, call myself a poet, call myself Poet Laureate of the Buzz. I was lucky enough to do a program called Native Inroads through the Loft in the spring of 2009, and further explored my identity as a poet, and that's when I kind of came out and began to claim my power as a poet. That was a real important experience for me. So this last one I'm going to do celebrates poets, and I especially love those incendiary political poets that push change. So anyway, this one's called Come the Poets. Come the poets, dancing, singing, spinning, spilling. Come the poets, chilling, thrilling, frilling, filling, lifting, shifting, sifting, gifting. Come the poets, whispering, reading, kneading, feeding. Come the poets, over the hills, up the sidewalks, off city buses, next in line. Come the poets, celebrated or nascent-footed, stepping lightly and throwing bombs. Come the poets. Thank you.